Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. 7:15. So,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavad
no, no. Okay. So, talks between Narada and King Prachinibari. So, Narad Muni is explaining the story that he spoke to Prachinibari, all the different characters, who they represent in the story. It's an allegorical story. आपनो व्यवहारोत्र चित्रमंदो बहुधनम पितृहुर दक्षिण कर्ण उत्तरो देवहु स्मृतः. The city called Apana represents engagement of the tongue in speech, and Bahudan is the variety of foodstuffs. The right ear is called the gate of Pitruhu, and the left ear is called the gate of Devahu. Okay, Narad Muni continued. The city spoken of as Dakshina Panchal represents the scriptures meant for directing pravritti, the process of sense enjoyment in fruitive activities. The other city named Uttara Panchal represents the scriptures meant for decreasing fruitive activities and increasing knowledge. The living entity receives different kinds of knowledge by means of 2 years, and some living entities are promoted to Pitralok and some to Devalok. All this is made possible by the 2 years. The Vedas are known as Shruti, and the knowledge is received from them through the oral reception called Shrutadhar. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one can be promoted to the planet of demigods or to the planets of Pitas or even to the Vaikuntha planet simply through the process of hearing. These things have already been explained in previous chapters. Okay, then the city called Gramaka, who is approached through the lower gate of Asuri, the genital organ. So these are the 2 years, Uttar Panchal and Dakshin Panchal. There are all this describing the different gates, I think, in the city. Um, or they are the cities spoken of Dakshin and Uttar Panchal. So there are two cities. Um, yeah. So anyway, we have to get the essence of what Prabhupada says in this verses. The city called Gramaka, which is approached through the lower gate of Asuri, the genital organ, is meant for sex, which is very pleasing to common men who are simply fools and rascals. The faculty of procreation is called Durmada, and the rectum is called Niritti. When the world becomes degraded, civilization becomes demoniac, and for the common man, the rectum and genitals are taken very seriously as the centers of all activity. Even in such a sacred place as Vrindavan, India, unintelligent men pass off this rectal and genital business as spiritual activity. Such people are called Sahajya. According to their philosophy, through sexual indulgence, one can elevate oneself to the spiritual platform. From these verses of Srimad, like somebody had that philosophy that through sense gratification you can achieve perfection. And there are people who follow that kind of leaders. From these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, however, we understand that the desires for sexual satisfaction are meant for the Arvak, the lowest among men. To rectify these rascals and fools is very difficult. After all, the sex desires of the common man are condemned in these verses. The word Durmada means wrongly directed, and Niritti means sinful activity. Although this clearly indicates that sex indulgence is abominable and misdirected even from ordinary point of view, the Sahajiyas nonetheless pass themselves off as devotees conducting spiritual activities. For this reason, Vrindavan is no longer visited by intelligent men. We are often asked why we have made our center in Vrindavan. From the external point of view, it can be concluded that Vrindavan has become degenerate due to these Sahajiya activities. Yet, from the spiritual point of view, Vrindavan is the only place where all the sinful persons can be rectified by means of taking birth in the form of dogs, hogs, and monkeys. By living in Vrindavan as a dog, hog, or monkey, the living entity can be elevated to the spiritual platform in the next life. Okay. So Prabhupada is saying that in the holy places like Vrindavan, there are sahajiyas who indulge in sense gratificatory activities, and because of that they get lower forms like hogs, dogs in the next life, but because they are in touch with the dust of Vrindavan, then they again get elevated in their next life. So, okay, anything else on this verse? Okay, so we'll read the next verse. When it is said that Puranjana goes to Vaishash, Vaishasa, it is meant that he goes to hell. He is accompanied by Lubdag, which is the working sense in the rectum. Formerly, I have also spoken of two blind associates. These associates should be understood with the hands and legs. Being held by the hands and legs, the living entity performs all kinds of work and moves hither and thither. So this is the karmendriyas. Okay, so we'll continue. There is no purport. The word antapura refers to the heart. The word vishuchina, meaning going everywhere, indicates the mind. Within the mind, the living entity enjoys the effect of the modes of material nature. This effect sometimes cause illusion, sometimes satisfaction, and sometimes jubilation. So our mind is affected. Sometimes it is depressed, sometimes it is very excited, sometimes it is satisfied. So all these things are because of the influence of the modes of material nature. We call it mood swings. Mood swings happen, right? That means it's nothing but the influence of the modes of nature on the mind. The mind and intelligence of the living entity in material existence are affected by the modes of material nature. And according to the association of the material modes, the mind is habituated to go here and there. The heart feels satisfaction, jubilation, or illusion according to the effect of the modes of material nature. Actually, the living entity in its material condition remains inert. It is the modes of material nature that act on the mind and the heart. The results are enjoyed or suffered by the living entity. This is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 3:27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma karta hamiti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul under the influence of the three modes of material nature thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. Okay. So the modes of we are under the influence of modes of nature, but out of false ego we think that I'm independent, I'm doing, but actually we are puppets in the hands of the modes of material nature, and they are making us do things. Of course, we ourselves put ourselves under the modes of material nature by our desires. So by our desires, we can also get out of this modes of material nature by surrendering to Krishna. Devi Esha Gunamayi Maya Durataya. So Krishna is saying this divine energy consisting of the three modes of material nature is very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders to me can easily overcome it. So okay. So any comments on this one? Like in which was it 14th chapter? What is the chapter with the modes of material nature? I think it's the 14th chapter.
Yes.
Yeah, in the so, thing that okay. Okay, so then formerly it was explained that the queen is one's intelligence, while one is awake or asleep. That intelligence creates different situations. Queen is one's intelligence. Being influenced by contaminated intelligence, the living entity envisions something and simply imitates the actions and reactions of his intelligence. The queen of Puranjana is described herein as intelligence itself. Intelligence acts both in the dream state and in the waking state, but it is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Since the intelligence is contaminated, Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, where is this lust? Oh, it is occupied everything. The intelligence, the mind, the senses. Indriyani mano buddhi rasyadhisthana muchyate. Eter vimohati esha. What is the last line? Indriyani mano buddhi rasyadhisthana muchyate. Eter
Etervimurtesha jnana avritam tehina.
vijnana. And it covers. So intelligence can also be contaminated. Intelligence is contaminated, the living entity is also contaminated. In the conditioned state, the living entity acts according to his contaminated intelligence. Although he simply remains an observer, he nonetheless acts, being forced by contaminated intelligence, which in reality is a passive agent. Okay. Then, Narad Muni continued, what I referred to as the chariot was in actuality the body. The senses are the horses that pull the chariot. As time passes year after year, these horses run without obstruction, but in fact they make no progress. Pious and impious activities are the two wheels of the chariot. The three modes of material nature are the chariot's flags. The five types of life here constitute the living entity's bondage. And the mind is considered to be the rope. Intelligence is the chariot driver. The heart is the sitting place in the chariot. And the dualities of life, such as pleasure and pain, are the knotting place. So the soul sits in the heart. The heart is the sitting place in the chariot, and is experiencing pleasure and pain, by which is knotted. The soul. The seven elements are the coverings of the chariot, and the working senses are the five external processes. The 11 senses are the soldiers. Being engrossed in sense enjoyment, the living entity seated on the chariot hankers after fulfillment of his false desires and runs after sense enjoyment, life after life. Okay. The entanglement of the living entity in sense enjoyment is very nicely explained in these verses. The word sanvatsara, meaning the progress of time, is significant. Day after day, week after week, fortnight after fortnight, month after month, year after year, the living entity becomes entangled in the chariot's progress. So we do so many activities outside of Krishna consciousness, and they entangle the living entity. Day after day, week after week, we generate new karma. And if it is not Krishna conscious karma, then as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the karma cause bandhan. What is that verse? If it is not done for Krishna.
How does it start? Yagnathat karmano natra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma konte mukta sangha samaj.
Yeah. So if you don't do work for Vishnu, then it causes bondage in this world. So, and we generate so much karma, and then we are setting up for our next life like that. So we should do our karma, but we have to connect our karma with Krishna by giving the results of our karma to Krishna and using the results of our karma in Krishna's service. So Krishna is saying yat karoshi yad ashnasi, all these things he's saying yat johosi dadasi yat, then yat karoshi yad
Yat
ashnasi.
tapasyasi konte tat kurushva mad arpanam.
He's saying give it to me. It doesn't mean we cannot live like comfortably in this world, but the goal of our life should be to become Krishna conscious. So we have a house, we do all Krishna conscious activities in the house, we chant Hare Krishna. We need some place to live, so we invite devotees and like that. Chant Hare Krishna. in the house and do Krishna conscious activities. So use our house for storing devotional paraphernalia. And one can use, if so somebody has space, they can use it for, our temple doesn't have space so right now, so it can be used for storing books and so many things like that. And it is to basically preach. House can be like a center for preaching Krishna consciousness. So inviting devotees and then or new people and then talking about Krishna. So everybody has to do karma. Nobody can sustain without karma in this material world. Everybody has to work. That work should be done in a spirit of service to Krishna. Okay. The chariot rests on two wheels, which are pious and impious activities. The living entity attains a certain position in life, in a particular type of body, according to his pious and impious activities, but his transmigration into different bodies should not be taken as progress. So, according to our pious and impious activities, we get different kinds of bodies and different species of life, and also in human beings, everybody is not in the same situation, right? There are so many people in this world, and everybody has a situation. At the time of birth, they have a situation which they are in, and then as life progresses, also situations keep changing. So, this is all based on our karma, pious and impious activities we have done in our this life and previous life. It's a cumulative effect of everything. And so, if you want to become free from all these reactions, we should work for Krishna, we should engage in devotional service. And of course, chant Hare Krishna, which frees one from all karma. Eka Krishna Nam Sarva Papa Shoy. So, yeah, good sadhana, and then whatever we do activities we have to do for Krishna. There may be social life, but we can make friends with devotees. So when we go, then we chant Hare Krishna. When we meet, we can chant Hare Krishna together. We can talk about Krishna, help each other. We can say, oh, I read this about Krishna. What did you read about Krishna? So in this way, there can be talks about Krishna. Normally, when we meet, we don't talk generally like that about Krishna and how to improve sadhana, we talk so many other things. So we should try to talk about Krishna and how we can become purified, how we can become spiritually advanced. Then it has meaning. Otherwise, social life has no meaning, really. So, of course, we may ask, how are you doing? We show our love and affection for devotees by taking care of them also. But the talk should be centered on Krishna consciousness, either Bhagavad Gita or something like that. So that's how real progress is, otherwise is waste of time. Real progress is explained in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. One makes real progress when he does not have to take on another material body. So we are in the cycle of birth and death. And in a few years, this body is going to go, and another body awaits us. So we saw how, people can be visually impaired. There are so many. I get every day a mail. I told you about this. I get every day a mail about how. So today morning I looked at it, and there is some little girl in Telangana who has I think cancer or something like that. So let me see here. So like that. So many every day I'm getting so many mails about this. I don't know, some maybe one time I gave. So it's a very difficult place, this material world. And we may have good karma, so it is not happening. But eventually we'll have to die. So this is like, see, this is me and suffering since birth. Only immunotherapy can keep my Punarnavi alive. My husband and I are deeply worried about our baby's survival. So she's just a baby. I only want to be her to be healthy and happy again. Baby Punarnavi had been suffering profoundly and was later diagnosed with thalassemia major. Thalassemia major. The condition has made her life miserable. To save her, a bone marrow transplant was carried out. Unfortunately, it failed, causing her to suffer. She now needs immunotherapy and medications which will cost lakhs. But her parents have spent every rupee they've had for it. So like that, there is so many situations which can happen. Some people are born in very rich families also. Karma. Another child is born in a healthy situation. All these things. But you know, even if you have good karma for the time being, we should not feel happy about it. Because we are in the cycle of birth and death. We are still in the prison. So in the prison, if you get a nice cell and you feel very happy about it, that's a problem. And then you will not want to get out of the prison. So like that. So we should not have faith in this material existence, which is very problematic for the jiva, and not aspire for any kind of. Only aspiration should be how to become Krishna conscious. So, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. One makes real progress when he does not have to take on another material body. This is a real progress. That after this body, we don't get another body. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 19.138. Yaite Brahmanda Bhari Ananta Jiva Gana Chaurashi Laksha Yonite Karaya Brahman. The living entity is wandering throughout the entire universe and taking birth in different species on different planets. Thus he moves up and down, but that is not real progress. Real progress is getting out of this material world altogether. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.16. Abrahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Even if one is promoted to Brahmalok, the highest planet in the universe, he has to come down again to the lower planetary systems. Thus he is wandering up and down perpetually under the influence of the three modes of material nature. Being illusion, he thinks he is making progress. He is like an airplane encircling the earth day and night, incapable of leaving Earth's gravitational field. Factually, there is no progress because the airplane is conditioned by the Earth's gravity. So we think I'm making progress, I earned a lot of money, I have a lot of degrees now, I'm making progress, I got a better situation in my job. All these things is not really progress. If we consider this as progress, it's not progress. Progress means how much you have advanced in love of Krishna. That's progress. That's real progress. Of course, your work and everything can be connected to Krishna. But yeah, it should be done. If you're thinking of Krishna, how much I'm thinking of Krishna, like that. So that is progress. How much I am attached to Krishna, and attached to Krishna means detached from sense gratification. So that is, Prabhupada would say, that's the test of spiritual advancement. So, uh, so if we are not there, that's okay. Then we have to increase our Krishna conscious activities. That's all. We have to chant more, hear more, like that, about Krishna. So, and if there is no taste, still we do it as sadhana. Taste or no taste. This is good for me. It's like medicine, right? You take it, even if it's bitter, because it is going to cure my disease, so I will take it. So in that way, we can think when there is no taste, this is good for me. I should do it. This Krishna consciousness will purify me of all my anarthas. So it's good. So in that way, we can motivate ourselves even when we don't feel like doing it, when it feels boring or so. Just as a king is seated on a chariot, the living entity is seated in the body. The sitting place is in the heart, and the living entity sits there and engages in the struggle for existence, which goes on without progress perpetually. So there is no progress really because you are, like Prabhupada says, the airplane is just going round and round. So in this material existence, sometimes we are demigod. We have unlimited, so much opulence, like Indra, and then we become like an Indra Gop, the insect. Then we go up, then we go down like that. So we are just encircling the airport in the plane. If a plane is encircling the airport and not able to, land and something like that. So, not, Prabhupada is saying incapable of leaving the Earth's gravitational field. So we are going round and round. Brahmanda Brahmide. In the words of Narottam Das Thakur, Karma Kanda Jnana Kanda Keval Vishera Bhanda Amrita Boliya Ye Khai Nana Yoni Sada Fire Kadarya Bhakshana Kore Tara Janma Adha Pate Yai. The living entity struggles very hard due to the influence of fruitive activity. Some may say, well, I don't work so hard because I have some. Yeah, it is possible. If you have good karma and you have a lot of money and things like that, then you're not, or you're educated, then you're not working so hard, or you're born in a rich family, you have a lot of money. They are also working hard because they want to increase their money. So Prabhupada says, where is the enjoyment? They are working very hard, but they are illusioned, so they are thinking this hard work is enjoyment. Where is the enjoyment? Of course, some people like their work, and they, like Thomas Edison, he was saying that, oh, I never worked a day in my life. It was all fun. So we had this in our company. They wanted us to work hard. So they wanted to make us think that, oh, this work is fun. It is fun, this technology, learning new technology and this like that, and doing new things, innovative things. This is fun because they want us to work hard so that the company will benefit. So like that, I had a screensaver on my computer. So yeah, so if you like something, then it is fun, right? If you like playing cricket, then as you indulge in playing cricket, it's fun, it's nice. Then you don't feel like, oh, I have to play cricket. But the problem is that we like watching movies. So it's like, okay, you like watching movies, it's fun. Like that. Similarly, working very hard. But what is the goal of all these things? That is the main thing. Of course, we are playing, so we keep ourselves fit and like that. But we can get too much absorbed in the game also and try to perfect it. Then it becomes prayas. Now Olympics is going on, right? So many people are getting medals. India has also won some medal. Some in shooting, somebody won medal, but they had to work so hard to get that medal. And okay, now they get their name in the in the history pages, right, or something like that. Or it'll be recorded in this Olympics. This person won the gold medal or bronze or whatever. But what is the point ultimately? Okay, you got a medal and you got everything, then but you are still in the cycle of birth and death. So, of course, if they are Krishna conscious and they use their influence, Prabhupada told Mahatma Gandhi, you are a very popular person. why don't you take up the study of Bhagavad Gita? If you take up the study of Bhagavad Gita, seeing you, many people, let's discuss Bhagavad Gita, and you can preach Bhagavad Gita. So many people will come and follow you. So, but yeah, he never got a reply from Mahatma Gandhi. So one can use one's influence to spread Krishna consciousness like that. So, but otherwise, what is the point in this? All these medals, and it's just a piece of some gold and some metal which you get, and you think, yeah, but you are still. It doesn't. Without bhakti, there is no mukti. And so, if it doesn't help you in bhakti, then what is the point? That's the Bhagavatam saying like that. That Shrama eva hi kevalam. If it is not pleasing to Krishna, we don't think Krishna is going to be pleased by this medal. Supposing somebody gets some big position, does it mean Krishna is pleased? No, Krishna's position is, there are so many. Brahma has much bigger position, and so many others have much bigger position. What we are going to get in this material world is just a small position. Compared to us Brahmas, we are like ants. In the ant society also, some people say, I have a big position. There may be, there is, they say that in the bees there is a queen bee, right? There is a queen bee. So they also have, so even in our society, human society, we have somebody's become the president and things like that. They may have high position, but it is temporary also. And next life, you can go from the high position to a low position. Or again, if you get a high position, again it's temporary. So that's what Prabhupada says, Ah Brahma Bhuvana Loka. Even if you go to Brahma Loka, there is repeated birth and death that's taking place. So, okay, so then he eats all kinds of nonsense and is condemned by activities of sense enjoyment. If one really wants to progress in life, he must give up the ways of karma kanda and jnana kanda, fruitive activities and mental speculation. So in karma kanda, people do everything very perfectly, technically, the yagnas and everything. They take everything into account, all the different things, and because the purpose is to how to become happy in this material world. So they do various kinds of pujas to different demigods, and so fruitive activities and mental, but it is being happy in the prison house. Being fixed in Krishna consciousness, one can become free from the entanglement of birth and death and the vain struggle for existence. Vain means useless struggle for existence in this material world, for lording it over, for a better situation. There is so much struggle. In this verses, the words Mrigatrishnam Pradhavati are very significant because the living entity is influenced by a thirst for sense enjoyment. He is like a deer. So Prabhupada says we are not doing all these four things. We are not dying because of want of these four things: meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. We are not dying. So similarly, the devotee can think that if there is no sense gratification, I am not going to die. Why am I hankering for sense gratification? There are so many devotees who are living so happily without sense gratification, and they are joyful. So, so why can't I be also joyful? So there is what you can say. There's urges for sense enjoyment, and one who tolerates, in the Bhagavad Gita also, one who, Krishna says, one who can tolerate the desires, he is happy in this material world. What is it verse like that? In Bhagavad Gita he says, the force of desire and anger, right? I think he says.
Yeah, it's 523.
Right.
Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world.
That's the one I was. Yeah. So Prabhupada says here, if one wants to make steady progress on the path of self-realization, he must try to control the forces of material senses. So there are different urges. There are forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of stomach, forces of genitals, and forces of the tongue. One who is able to control the forces of all these different senses and the mind is called Goswami or Swami. Such Goswamis live strictly controlled lives and forego altogether the forces of the senses. So force is there, but they are not acting on it. Material desires, when unsatiated, generate anger, and thus the mind, eyes, and chest become agitated. Yeah, kama krodho abhijayate. Yeah, kama krodho abhijayate. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. And it's not like you're subduing, but the thing is to get higher taste also. You can't just keep it subdued and like a pressure cooker. You have to get higher taste and you have to. So we have to try to get higher taste. That's one who can do this is understood to be self-realized. So life is all about experience, right? So we go to Switzerland or some place like London to experience the Paris or some different. It's a we get vacation cruise. They go to have a nice experience. So we want to get an experience of spiritual life. So so we can get happiness. We can feel that, and then that pleasure that you get from that going to a retreat or something like that, where you are fully absorbed, that you can remember, and then you can try to we can that will help us move ahead in spiritual life. One who can do this is understood to be self-realized and thus is happy in the state of self-realization. So one who can check the desire, force of desire and anger. So there are many desires for sense gratification, which when not fulfilled gives rise to anger. It is the duty of transcendentalists to try strenuously. It's very with great effort to control desire and anger. So effort is there, where we say it is our endeavor and Krishna's mercy. So our endeavor is that effort, but if we want to make the effort simpler, then we can chant Hare Krishna, and then it will be easier. If we chant Hare Krishna and we read Bhagavad Gita, put our mind on Krishna, then it will be easier. That's why in that verse, Yat Pada Palva, no, Yat Pada Pankaja Palasa Vilasa Bhaktya. What is that verse? Yat Pada Pankaja.
Alas bhakta karma samvritita mudgatiyanti shanta. Tadvannarittamatayo yatatopi ruda shroto ganastamaranam bhajavasudevam. Means devotees are very easily able to overcome their desires for sense gratification because they are having that higher taste. But other people like Gyanis and Yogis, even if they try very hard, they fall down very easily because they're not. It's all dry process. They're not feeling any taste.
Correct. Yeah, Yat Pada Pankaja Palasa Vilasa Bhaktya. I get confused with Yat Pada Pallava Yuga Vinidhaya Kumbha. Right? Yat Pada Pallava. Which that also starts with the same in Brahma Samhita. Yeah, so one who is experiencing the higher pleasure of bhakti, they can easily root out the. That is the proof, right? That one is experiencing higher taste is they can root out the lower taste easily. But others are not, then it's difficult. Yeah.
Like we have Haridas Thakur and the prostitute came to him, he was not bewildered at all. While we have, who's that? Menaka came,
Vishwamitra.
Vishwamitra and Saubari Muni, they fell down.
So Abharimini did an offense also to Garuda.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so all these offenses are dangerous also. offenses to Vaishnavas. That will put us in the situation where we'll be attracted to material desires. And yeah, so so that's Prabhupada is saying he's like a deer that goes to the desert to search out water. Shruta Shuka Mriga Trishni Rupa, what is it? Shruta Shuka
Mm.
Kutra Shisha Shuta Kutra Shisha.
Pracira Shruti Shukha Mrigitasni Rupa Kvaidam Kalevam Ashishirujam Viroha Nirvedete Nato Jano Yadapati Vidpan Kamamam Madhugaveshamindurapai.
So that is Mriga Trishni. That's the in a desert, an animal simply searches in vain for water. So similarly, we are searching for happiness in sense gratification. It is not going to give happiness. I mean, it gives happiness in the beginning, but then it also gives you some side effects, some trouble afterwards. So we are trying to search for happiness in the wrong place, in the wrong way. That's what Prabhupada is saying like that. Happiness is our birthright. We are Anandamaya Pyasat. We are men, but we should feel happiness. We should find out the right way to feel, become happy. So he's like a deer that goes to the desert to search out water. So in the desert there is no water, but he's searching for water in the desert. In desert, an animal searches in vain, simply searches in vain for water. So of course there is no water in the desert, and the animal simply sacrifices his life in an attempt to find it. So it's an impossible task he's doing. There is no water, but he's searching, searching. Where is water? Where is water? So how is he going to get water? Everyone is planning for future happiness, thinking that somehow or other, if he can reach a certain point, he will be happy. So we all have our aspirations. When I get this, when I get that, when this event happens in my life, then I'll be very happy. So Prabhupada is saying it's Kutra Shisha Shruti Shukha Mrigatrishniru. It's like the mirage in the desert. That in future, okay, when this will happen, then but then look at those people who have those events that happen in their life. They are completely happy. No, they are also struggling. They are working very hard, but they are thinking this hard work is happiness. This struggle. So Prabhupada says this is also Avaranatmika Shakti, the power of the illusory energy. That in the Bhagavatam it says, whichever condition one finds in, one finds happiness in that situation. So, so he will feel happy as a pig also, he will feel happy. So everyone is planning for future happiness, thinking that somehow or other, if he can reach a certain point, he'll be happy. Yeah, if I can become very educated, then I will get a nice job, then I will get a nice spouse, then I will have nice children, then I'll have a nice house, then I will have a nice car. Of course, you may get all these things, and people do get with this career, they do get, but yeah, it's not that, yeah, and you can feel happy in a material happiness, and then you can become complacent and feel very happy, and you become conditioned by that happiness that you don't realize that bhakti to Krishna is the main thing. So you become enamored by the sweet talking of children. In the Bhagavatam, there's verses like that. The whole situation around makes you feel very, very nice, and the desire to, the intensity to practice bhakti becomes low, less and less, because you don't feel like I'm in a difficult situation. In actuality, however, when he comes to that point, he sees that there is no happiness. So Prabhupada is saying, actually, when you reach that position, you see, actually, there is no happiness. I was thinking that, and like Prabhupada says, right, uh, the father has gone through all these things and he has not felt any happiness. But still, he wants his son to do the same thing. One, he wants him to go through the same, all the things that he has done, and he finds that there is no happiness. So So like that. So this is like a stereotype thing that everybody wants to go through the same process. Yeah, you work very hard and then you work very hard so that you have enough for retirement, then you retire, you enjoy a little bit sense enjoyment, and then you die. So this is the general process. And the culture is like that. So somebody who is intelligent thinks outside the box and says, why should I follow the normal course of this? Why don't I? Of course, one can follow the normal course also and be Krishna conscious, like go through college and all these things and be in a Krishna conscious way. That is also possible. And then some people take the radical approach. Why I should go after this kind of, like the hippies. They were thinking, well, we are done with this kind of, we are not, it's not giving any happiness. We'll try something different. So of course they were trying drugs and all these things. And then they, because they were trying different things, they also tried Krishna consciousness. And it really gave them happiness. So they stuck to it. Like that. Unless you try. So okay, so like that. Everyone is planning for future happiness, thinking that somehow or other, if we can reach a certain point, they will be happy. When I get all the money and all this, my nice house. In actuality, but all those who have big house, are they all happy? In actuality, however, like Patri Prabhu was saying, right? You get a house and then suddenly you're dead, gone. Your house is there and you're gone. Like that. Of course, we may live a few years, 20, 30 years in the house, but then it's gone. In actuality, however, when he comes to that point, he sees that there is no happiness. He then plans to go further and further to another point. So when he reaches a certain point, he finds that there is no happiness now. So let me change now. Let me find something else to do. Maybe that thing when I get, I will get happiness. And then when he goes there, then he finds, oh, there is no happiness. Then he says, okay, now let me do another thing. So like that, we keep changing our goals and things like that. This is called Mriga Trishna. And its basis is sense enjoyment in this material world. Prabhupada writes very strong things. So, okay. So he's trying to convince us to go back to the spiritual world. That is what he's. Then all the solution, all the problems are solved, right? You go to Krishna, then all problems are solved. Financial problem, health problem, legal problems, all the problems are solved. Birth, death, disease, old age problem. So we may think like all this is, is it true really? Yes, we are the soul. I mean, do we think that after this life we will cease to exist? No, we'll continue to exist. So we have to be firmly believe that I am the soul on an eternal journey. And this body is just a stop for a few. It's like I'm in transit, I'm on this eternal journey. Ultimately, this journey is everybody's journey is towards the spiritual world. They say every all living entities will go, but when they will go, that is the thing. How many stops we want to take and how much we want to suffer in this material existence, that is up to us. Because every time you get a body means you're setting up yourself for suffering because so many diseases in this body. Unpredictability is also there in this body. Right? Suddenly I'm sitting and I can have a brain hemorrhage. Yeah, it's not suddenly. It can happen, right? Suddenly something in the brain and I can become unconscious also. So many people have had that kind of thing. So it's unpredictable. So this is how. So in this unpredictable situation with this body, we are trying to find happiness and first, and maybe sometime it remains stable. So, okay, so maybe it's too much negative, but Prabhupada is writing like that. So, what can I do? What was previously explained as Chandavega, powerful time, is covered by days and nights, named Gandharvas and Gandharvis. The body's lifespan is gradually reduced by the passages of days and night, which number 360. The other thing is that, yeah, we have to feel like going back to the spiritual world will be very pleasing. One thing we can become convinced is, yeah, in this material world, this whole situation is very problematic. But then we have to have attraction to go back to the spiritual world also. Because what are we going to do there, right? That's another thing. After going from here to there, then will we really get happiness or not there in? So yeah, you can. I mean, there is also so much enjoyment. So we read some pastimes of Krishna like that, and Krishna can reciprocate with everybody. It's not like Krishna is busy with the gopis or things, so he has no time to reciprocate with other jivas who are in the spiritual world, or the gopas is busy. No, he can reciprocate with everyone, and we want somebody like that, right, in our life who can be our constant, well-wishing companion. Everybody is looking for that kind of. That's why people, when they get married, they're looking for a person who will be their constant, well-wishing companion, like that, for who will take care. So, so everybody is looking for Krishna, as George Harrison says. So, but in this world, it first of all, it's not forever, and not everybody, nobody can take care also all the time, and they have their limitations also, and sometimes they may need care only. They also fall sick and like that. So it's like, then sometimes we become helpless when our family members are diseased or something. What can we do? And but in the spiritual world, there is no disease, and you can have a company of Krishna forever. So Krishna can reciprocate with every living entity very personally, and he can reciprocate with others at the same time, because he has no limitation in terms of time and space like that. So we saw in Dwarka how Krishna was with every wife, he was reciprocating. And in Yamuna also, when Krishna was sitting on the bank of Yamuna with all the gopas, there were unlimited number of gopas, and every gopa was thinking Krishna is reciprocating with him by looking at him and things like that. So Krishna can reciprocate. Either he can expand, or somehow it may feel like that Krishna is reciprocating. In Govardhan Leela also, Krishna was reciprocating with all the Vrajvasis simultaneously in different rasas. All the five rasas were exchanged in Govardhan Leela. Somewhere in Vatsalya ras, so he was reciprocating them. With the cows, he was reciprocating. With the gopis, with the gopas, everybody. Sakhya ras. So, so God can be our constant companion, and He's the most well-wishing companion. Krishna is saying, Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, I'm the friend of everyone. So, if we make friendship with God, then we'll be fully satisfied. That's the peace formula also. So, what was previously explained as Chandavega, powerful time, is covered by days and nights, named Gandharvas and Gandharvis. The body's lifespan is gradually reduced by the passage of days and night, which is number 360. The word parikrantya means by traveling. The living entity travels on his chariot day and night during a year consisting of 360 days and nights. Life progress is taken for the unnecessary labor required to cover these 360 days and nights of life. Okay. So we'll stop here. Any comments? Anybody has? So any song you want to sing?
Mm, yes, but which song? Hari Hari.
Hmm. Let me find that. Hari Hari Bifale Janam. Okay, so here it is.
Yes. Hari Hari Bifale Janam Guainu Manushya Janma Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya Janiya Shuniya Bish Khainu Golokera Prema Dhana Hari Nam Sankirtana Rati na Janmilo Kene ताय संसारा बिशानाले दिबानिशी ज्वले जुरायते न कोइनु उपाय ब्रजेंद्र नंदन जय सची सुत होइलो से बलराम होइलो নিতাই দিনহীন জটা ছিল হরি নামে উদ্ধারিল তারা সাক্ষী জগায় মাধায় হাহা প্রভু নন্দা সুতা वृषभानु सुता जुता करुणा करो এই বার नरोत्तम दासा कोई नाथे लिहु रंगा पाहे तुम बिन के आछे আমার हरि हरि बिफले जन्म आएनु. Translation. O Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly, having obtained this human birth and having not worshipped Radha and Krishna. I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of the divine love in Golok Vrindavan has descended as the congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night my heart burns from the fire of poison of worldliness, and I have not taken the means to relieve it. Lord Krishna, who is the son of King of Raj, became the son of Sachi Lord Chaitanya, and Balram became Nitai. The holy name delivered all those souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madai, evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vishvanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottam Das says, O Lord, please don't push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? So, as we were discussing, we're going up and down. It's not we're not making any progress. Shrama eva hi kevalam. I was also thinking it's just like we get into our car and we don't put anything in the GPS. We just start driving the car and go on the road. So aimlessly we are going because our goal is not set, right? So Bhagavad Gita tells that that's the one thing that it was a eye opening for me when I read Bhagavad Gita because I felt lost before. Where am I going? But then Krishna says, you come back to me. That is your destination. The goal is, and so when the goal is set, then you move towards that goal. Every activity that you would do is moving towards that goal. So all Krishna conscious activity, we are taking one step towards Krishna. Every holy name that we are chanting, it's we are taking one step towards Krishna. And every other activity like sense gratification or sinful activities that we do, we are taking steps away from Krishna. We're going away from our goal. So we should understand that. And every moment is a choice. So having obtained this human birth, we say human birth is like a junction, right? We can choose the direction of our life. In other species, there is no choice really, because in animal species you can't think of self-realization. Even in demigod life, it's all enjoyment. So that's why the demigods want to get a human birth. So once having gotten this human birth, we should understand that it's very valuable. It is very rare, and um, what is that? It's rare. It's valuable. And it's very temporary. It can be lost at any time. So, so we should not drink poison by doing activities that will take us away from Krishna. So this chanting Golok Vrindavan, the prema of Golok Vrindavan, the chanting of holy name is like participating in Krishna's pastimes. It is very enjoyable, but we are not feeling any taste attraction for it because we have desires for material sense gratification, or we are committing offenses. So, as we said, the offenses are called aparad. Aparad means offense towards Radharani, and Radharani is the one who gives taste to us in devotional activities. So, if we do aparad, that's we don't feel that higher taste, so we automatically, want to have taste in material things. So, material desires increase in our heart, and that's the poison of worldliness. So holy name has delivered even sinful people like Jagai and Madai, but uh, I mean Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, or Narottam Das Thakur is saying that it has like I'm more fallen than Jagai and Madai because I'm not feeling any attraction for the holy name. But I'm not losing hope because Krishna, please don't push me away. You are my only beloved. Don't give up on me. So the devotee is always hopeful that even though I may have done so many wrong things in the past, I'm very fallen, I don't have any qualifications, still Krishna is so merciful. Um, so we keep trying and keep endeavoring, and Krishna will accept us. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's the time? A little bit. So, we also discuss our. Shital Kumar is saying why only we not read, but we also discuss what we have read and what we remember from other. So it is mananam also from different things that we have read about some pastime and how it relates to that. So Prabhupada wanted uh, us to discuss. So
It's called Makchitta Madgata Pran Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayanta Shamam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. We share our realizations, and of course reading books, that's Prabhupada's realize, but we contemplate on it and we share our realization, and that gives us a lot of joy, happiness, and we feel taste. And if we hear from a devotee, like from their experiences, what they have felt, how they have become determined and sincere, then that has more of an impact to us, right? In a lecture we say that you should tell some personal story, what has impacted you.
and also like in temple Bhagavatam class, right? They read a verse, then the purport, and then they say their whatever their understanding of that verse is, and then others will also after the thing there is comments by others, and then they discuss if there is any comments or questions. So that is how the standard way Prabhupada set it up also in ISKCON temples. So this is like our virtual program where
It's like we chew on it. We chew on the same thing from different angles. We view the same issue.
Well,
with our experiences.
it's not waste of time if it is related to if it is not related to Krishna, and then it's a waste of time. He's saying it's a waste of time unless demanded. Yeah, everybody is free to join. I mean, if you feel you want to only read Prabhupada's books, then you can. We are reading and we are discussing also. So we are not just simply reading. So we try to understand. By explaining also, when you explain to somebody, your understanding also becomes solidified. By, but if somebody doesn't like this format, then they can read the books on their own. They don't have to be on the call. So I don't know how everybody feels. Should we just only keep reading or?
No,
Hmm?
no, that would be a little boring. Um, yeah, we want to hear realization of devotees. And yeah, Prabhupada also gave a lecture, right? And lecture he would tell so many stories, pastimes, and analogies to explain the same point. So that's what we should do. Relate this verse with other verses in Bhagavad Gita and how we understand it in our life in simple language. Yeah, I think that format is great.
Okay, so we can read the Paul pastime or Krishna book first. Read some Krishna book.
Hare Krishna Mataji, the point that you mentioned, I think after you sang the explanation that demigod also hankering for the human birth. So where can I find that details, Mataji? Is it in Bhagavatam?
Yes, Prabhu. I can paste the verse.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Yeah,
There's
sure.
the exact verse in the fifth canto, I think. Correct, Prabhu?
Okay.
Yeah, the demigods are waiting to take birth, right? In this.
And God prayers. Because they say that there's so much sense enjoyment in the heavenly planets, they cannot think of Krishna. Yeah, I got that. 5:19:21. I'm pasting it.
Thank you, Mataji.
Mm. Should I read, Prabhu?
Yeah, so one minute where we are here. Let me see. Okay, yeah, from here.
No, I mean I wanted to read that verse I pasted.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Since the human form of life is a sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in heaven speak in this way. How wonderful it is for these human beings to have been born in the land of Bharatvarsh. They must have executed pious acts of austerity in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead must have been pleased with them. Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service in so many ways? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births in Bharatvarsh to execute devotional service, but these human beings are already engaged there. Demigods continue. After performing very difficult tasks of executing Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, undergoing austerities, observing vows, and giving charity, we have achieved this position as inhabitants of the heavenly planets. But what is the value of this achievement? Here we are certainly very engaged in material sense gratification, and therefore we can hardly remember the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. Indeed, because of our excessive sense gratification, we have almost forgotten his lotus feet. Mm. And the verse after that it says, a short life in the land of Bharatvarsh is preferable to a life achieved in Brahmalok for millions and billions of years. Because even if one is elevated to Brahmalok, he must return to repeat birth and death. Although life in Bharatvarsh is very short, one who lives there can elevate himself to full Krishna consciousness, achieve a highest perfection even in short life by fully surrendering to the lotus feet of the Lord. Yeah, so it is nice that we have short life, that we don't have to live for thousands of years. In that short life only, and since in Kali Yuga especially, there's a lot of distress, so we should use that and become totally detached. understanding that this material world is miserable. Correct?
Yeah.
Because in other yugas, there's not that much distress also. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga.
And Bharatvarsha is not just India, right? It's entire world.
Yeah, that's right.
Although Prabhupada does translate Bharat verses in India, like that verse is there, Bharat Bhumite Manushya Hanjan. In
Yeah,
that,
but in the purport he writes.
yeah, so, but even in this thing, the Bharat Bhumi, right, here is saying, see, here, Prabhupada is translated, Bharat Bhumite, one who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharat Varsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. So, this Vedic knowledge is very easily available in India. Of course, by now, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it is available everywhere. But
Mm.
especially before, it was Krishna
Most
conscious.
of the devotees they got this knowledge in here. Even me, because in India there's so much confusion of so many different
Yeah,
paths.
because the Indians have mixed up everything, right? There are so many philosophies and so many gurus have come, and they're not following Bhagavad Gita, so they.
But in India also we have ISKCON Center, Prabhuji. Actually, I got to know about ISKCON in India only, and from India only I know about Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Yeah, I also was introduced to ISKCON in India. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you are introduced here or in India. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, you are getting the right philosophy. But what I was saying is, Prabhupada says that in the Vedic culture is still there, and the Vedic knowledge is available. But the disadvantage is that because there are so many different people have, different gurus have come, so-called gurus, and they are propagating their own teaching. So it's very confusing.
There's so many temples. In America there are relatively less temples, so there are less choices.
Less choice. That is
Still
all.
a lot of temples are coming up in America, so there's still, a, a choice that we somebody has to make. Okay, the Sai Baba temple or Swami Narayan temple or
Like in Columbus only, they have so many art of living is there. Then some Sadguru also we met, some Sadguru people, art of living. Then Swaminarayan is there. Then so many others like Ganesh temple is there, and so many
Isha Prabhuji, Isha
Isha
Foundation.
Foundation. So all different kinds of things are there. So even now in here in Columbus also we have all the Indians have made all this. And there are so many Christian groups from Indians, right? There, like when we go to the India Fest, which is coming up, right? We have a booth there. We see so many Christian booths, like they are all Indians, and there is so much propagation of Christianity also. What's going on? So, of course, we don't like say anybody is wrong or anything, as long as they are speaking about God consciousness. But yeah, still there is a difference between connected coming from a bona fide parampara and so many others. Yeah. Okay, so we'll read this few verses maybe till 8:45.
yes. Although it may be said that yogis also can expand their bodies into many forms, the yogi's expansion and Lord Krishna's expansion are not the same. Krishna is therefore sometimes called Yogeshwar, the master of all yogis. In the Vedic literature, we find that the yogi Saubhari Muni expanded himself into 8, but the expansion was like a television expansion. Television images manifest in millions of expansions, but these expansions cannot act differently. They are simply reflections of the original and can only act exactly as the original does. Uh, Krishna's expansion is not material like the expansion of the television or the yogi. When Narad visited the different palaces of Krishna, he saw that Krishna in his different expansions was variously engaged in each and every palace of the queens. So yogis can expand till at most 8 times. We also saw how Devahuti and Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni expanded himself, I think, in 9.
9 forms.
Yeah, and here it says 8. But that is like when the expansions can only act cannot act differently. It's like a copy, and they will follow the original expansion. But Krishna can expand unlimited times. He expanded with the Gopas, right? And the Brahmavama and Lila, Gopas and calves. Also expanded with each of the gopis in Ras Leela, and also here with each of the wives. And he can act different. He can be differently engaged in each of these expansions. It is also said that Krishna lived in Dwarka as the husband of the goddess of fortune. Queen Rukmini is the goddess of fortune, and all the other queens are her expansions. So Krishna, the chief of the Vishnu dynasty, enjoyed with the goddess of fortune in full opulence. The queens of Krishna are described as permanently youthful and beautiful. Although Krishna had grandchildren and great grandchildren, neither Krishna nor his queens looked older than 16 or 20 years of age. The young queens were so beautiful that when they moved, they appeared like lightning moving in the sky. They were always dressed with excellent ornaments and garments, and were always engaged in sportive activities like dancing, singing, or playing ball on the roofs of the palaces. The dancing and tennis playing of girls in the material world are perverted reflections of the original pastimes of the original personality of Godhead Krishna and his wives. So Krishna and all his queens also, they look just like 16 years old, 20 years, even though they had grandchildren. They were very beautiful, like lightning moving in the sky, and they used to dance and play ball. And Prabhupada is saying this playing of tennis is a perverted reflection of activities in spiritual world. The roads and streets of the city of Dwarka were always crowded with elephants, horses, chariots, and infantry soldiers. When elephants are engaged in service, they are given liquor to drink. And it is said that elephants in Dwarka were given so much liquor that they should sprinkle a great quantity of it on the road and still walk on the streets intoxicated. The infantry soldiers passing on the streets were profusely decorated with golden ornaments, and horses in golden chariots plied along the streets. In all directions of Dwarka city, wherever one would turn his eyes, he would find green parks and gardens, each of them filled with trees and plants laden with fruits and flowers. Because there were so many nice trees of fruits and flowers, all the sweetly chirping birds and buzzing bumblebees joined together to make sweet vibrations. The city of Dwarka thus fully displayed all opulence. The heroes in the dynasty of Yadu used to think themselves the most fortunate residents of the city, and actually they enjoyed all transcendental facilities. So it was a very beautiful city. Every person was very opulent. Even the foot soldiers, they were decorated with golden ornaments, and there were nice fruits and flowers and chirping birds. And the Yadavas, they considered themselves very fortunate. But we know that these Yadavas only. The end of that was they became intoxicated and they killed each other. Means even if you are in the material world, such a fortunate situation does not stay for long. It's temporary. And if you become intoxicated by opulence, then you can ruin everything.
But I don't understand, like, why here, like, it's against regulative principle to have liquor. Then why they were giving elephants liquor and intoxication? All these are against the principle. Why
Yeah.
during that time, like, they were?
Yeah, I don't know why. What they said to make the elephant work, I think they given liquor. When elephants are engaged in service, they are given liquor to drink. And it is said elephants are given so much liquor that they would sprinkle a great quantity of it on the road and still walk on the streets. Intoxicated. I'm not sure what that. But whatever is like against our, it's not for all. Like yesterday, who was
Hmm.
saying that Garuda is eating fish, right?
Garura. Yeah, Prabhupada Priya.
Bhakti Vasudeva.
Oh, Bhaktivas.
He was saying that Garuda eats fish, but he's a great devotee of the Lord. So,
Based on their body, yeah.
so I don't know
It's
if
not
it's.
breaking for a regulated principle.
But why elephants were given liquor to drink is a good question we can ask. Thus, in the actual Bhagavatam, let's see, verses in the 90th chapter of the 10th canto, is there some explanation about this?
It's okay, Prabhuji. Later also you can find. I don't want to distract you. I just was curious.
Hmm.
Elephant.
Yeah, it says main streets of the city were always crowded with intoxicated elephants exuding mada.
Yeah. So they were intoxicated, but whether they were given liquor, Prabhupada says like that here. So, okay. Sometimes we may think if they were given liquor, then they would get crazy and do things like that. But they were all Dwarka elephants. Okay, so the next we can read.
Should I continue or anybody
Yeah,
else?
anybody else like to read then? Anybody wants to read? Joey wants to read or Shankar or Madhavi. Sheetal Kumar want to read also. Okay, so we can continue, I think.
All the 16,000 palaces of Krishna's queens were situated in this beautiful city of Dwarka, and Lord Krishna, the supreme eternal enjoyer of all these facilities, expanded himself into 16,000 forms and simultaneously engaged in different family affairs in those 16,000 palaces. In each and every one of the palaces there were nicely decorated gardens and lakes. The crystal clear water of the lakes contained many blooming lotus flowers of different colors like blue, yellow, white, and red, and the saffron powder from the lotus flowers was blown all around by the breeze. All the lakes were full of beautiful swans, ducks, and cranes, crying occasionally with melodious sounds. Lord Sri Krishna sometimes entered those lakes or the rivers with his wives and enjoyed swimming pastimes with them in full jubilation. Sometimes the wives of Lord Krishna, who were all goddesses of fortune, would embrace the Lord in the midst of the water while swimming or taking a bath, and the red vermilion of kumkum decorating their beautiful breasts would adorn the chest of the Lord with a reddish color. So nice facilities, and they have lakes and ponds for swimming. The impersonalists would not dare believe that in the spiritual world there are such varieties of enjoyment. But in order to demonstrate the factual, ever blissful enjoyment in the spiritual world, Lord Krishna descended to this planet and showed that the spiritual world is not devoid of such pleasurable facilities of life. The only difference is that the spiritual world such facilities are eternal, never-ending occurrences, whereas in the material world they are simply impermanent, perverted reflections. When Lord Krishna was engaged in such enjoyment, the Gandharvas and the professional musicians would glorify him with melodious musical concerts accompanied by kettle drums, mridangas, and other drums, along with stringed instruments and brass bugles, and the whole atmosphere would change into a greatly festive celebration. In a festive mood, the wives of the Lord would sometimes sprinkle water on his body with a syringe-like instrument, pichkari, and the Lord would similarly wet the bodies of the queens. When Krishna and the queens engaged themselves in these pastimes, it seemed as if the heavenly king Yaksharaj were engaged in the pastimes with his many wives. Yaksharaj is also known as Kuvera and is considered the treasure of the heavenly kingdom. When the wives of Lord Krishna thus became wed, their breasts and thighs would increase in beauty 1,000 times, and their long hair would fall down to decorate those parts of their bodies. The beautiful flowers placed in their hair would fall, and the queen, seemingly harassed by the lords throwing water at them, would approach him on the plea of snatching the syringe-like instrument. This attempt would create a situation wherein the Lord could embrace them as they willingly approached him. Upon being embraced, the wives of the Lord would feel on their mouths a clear indication of conjugal love, and this would create an atmosphere of spiritual bliss. When the garland on the neck of the Lord then touched the breasts of the queens, their whole bodies became covered with saffron yellow. Being engaged in these celestial pastimes, the queens forgot themselves, and their loosened hair appeared like beautiful waves of a river. When the queens sprinkled water on the body of Krishna, or he sprinkled water on the bodies of queens, the whole situation appeared just like that of an elephant enjoying in a lake with many she-elephants. So this paragraph said that Krishna wants to show how much enjoyment is there in the spiritual world. So he's doing all these pastimes like this in the material world for the jivas to be attracted to the spiritual world. So, I mean, people may try to enjoy this in a perverted way in this material world, but the difference is that it's very temporary. They may enjoy this, but for a brief moment they can do that. But so many situations can go wrong in this material world. But in spiritual world, this enjoyment is eternal, never ending, and they never become old. There is no death, there is no disease, there is no any kind of distress. And so they're playing holy with each other and throwing water on each other, and so much fun is there. And Krishna is reciprocating with his devotees. The queens are his devotees, and Krishna wants to give them enjoyment to the best of um, whatever they desire. After enjoying fully amongst themselves, the queens and Lord Krishna would come out of the water, and they would give up their wet garments, which were very valuable, to be taken away by the professional singers and dancers. These singers and dancers had no means of subsistence other than the rewards of valuable garments and ornaments left by the queens and kings on such occasions. The whole system of society was so well planned that all the members of the society in their different positions as Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudras had no difficulty in earning their livelihood. There was no competition among the divisions of society. The original conception of the caste system was so planned that one group of men engaged in a particular type of occupation would not compete with another group of men engaged in different occupation. So there was enough for everybody. As Krishna is Lakshmipati, there is no scarcity of anything. So that's why there is no competition. Everybody is satisfied, and they are earning their livelihood very easily, very nicely. In this world, there is a lot of competition because the resources are limited. In this way, Lord Krishna used to enjoy the company of his 16,000 wives. Some devotees of the Lord who want to love the Supreme Personality of God in the mellow of conjugal love are elevated to the position of becoming wives of Krishna, and Krishna keeps them always attached to him by his kind behavior. Krishna's behavior with his wives, his movements, his talking with them, his smiling, his embracing, and similar other activities, which are just like those of a loving husband, kept them always very much attached to him. That is the highest perfection of life. If someone remains always attached to Krishna, it is to be understood that he is liberated and his life is successful. With any devotee who loves Krishna with his heart and soul, Krishna reciprocates in such a way that the devotee cannot but remain attached to him. The reciprocal dealings of Krishna and his devotees are so attractive that a devotee cannot think of any subject matter other than Krishna. So Krishna wants the devotees to be attached to him. So he is a perfect husband. He whatever he does it perfectly. All type of relationships. So he's behaving like a perfect husband and reciprocating with his wives, keeping them happy always. So they become attached to him, which is good because they are being attached to Krishna. For all the queens, Krishna was their only worshipable object. They were always absorbed in thought of Krishna, the lotus-eyed and beautifully blackish personality of Godhead. Sometimes in thought of Krishna they remained silent, and in great ecstasy of bhav and anubhav they sometimes spoke as if in delirium. Sometimes even in the presence of Lord Krishna they vividly described the pastimes they had enjoyed in the lake or river with him. Some of such talk is described here. So sometimes they were silent, sometimes they were talking a lot as if they are in crazy, describing all the pastimes, like just like the gopis. Should I continue?
Yeah, we can. Let's see how many. What's the time? Yeah, it's.
Big picture.
Yeah, we can read some few. We
Okay.
can read till.
Queen said, "Dear Kurari bird, now it is very late at night. Everyone is sleeping. The whole world is now calm and peaceful. At this time, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sleeping, although his knowledge is undisturbed by any circumstances. Then why are you not sleeping? Why are you lamenting like this throughout the whole night? Dear friend, is it that you are also attracted by the lotus eyes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by his sweet, smiling, instructive words exactly as we are? Do those dealings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead pinch your heart as they do ours? So they're talking about themselves, but they are as if they're talking to the Kurari bird that you're not able to sleep because you're so much attracted to Krishna. And his talking, his smiling face, his attractive words, they have attracted you just like they have attracted us. So, hello, Chakravaki. Why have you closed your eyes? Are you searching after your husband, who may have gone to foreign countries? Why are you lamenting so pitiably? Alas, it appears that you are very much aggrieved. Or is it a fact that you are also willing to become an eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? We think that you are anxious to put a garland on the lotus feet of the Lord and then place it on your hair. Yeah, so it's kind of delirium madness speaking to this Chakravaki bird that you have closed your eyes because you're lamenting your husband is not here, he's gone to some foreign country. You are anxious to serve his lotus feet.
So, who are they speaking to? Is it it's
The
saying
birds,
the
they're
birds?
speaking to the birds,
Yeah, it's like
just like the gopis.
Radharani speaking to the bee, right? Something like
Bee, yeah, Radharani is speaking to bee, and the gopis, when they were searching for Krishna, they were speaking to the trees and the deer and everybody they met. Oh dear ocean, why are you roaring all day and night? Don't you like to sleep? We think you have been attacked by insomnia, or if we are not wrong, our dear Shamsundar has tactfully taken away your gravity and power of forbearance, which are your natural qualifications. Is it a fact for this reason you are suffering from insomnia like us? Yes, we admit that there is no remedy for this disease. So, like we say, we project our consciousness to others, right? Like I was hearing yesterday, the trees, when Krishna and Balram entered the forest, the trees they're bowing down to Krishna to offer their fruits to him, and also they want to offer their honey. So the gopis are saying the trees are crying, and this honey is like their tears because the trees cannot move along with Krishna and Balram to the forest, just like how cows and calves and cowherd boys they can accompany Krishna. So trees are crying because actually the gopis are crying because they cannot accompany Krishna, but they think that these trees are crying because they can. So in the same way here, the queens they cannot sleep at night. They have insomnia, and they're saying, "Oh ocean, you're roaring all day and night. It seems you have insomnia."
that.
Yes, we admit that there is no remedy for this disease. Dear moon god, we think you have been attacked by a severe type of tuberculosis. For this reason, you are becoming thinner and thinner day by day. It's very funny. Oh Lord, you are now so weak that your thin rays cannot dissipate the darkness of night? Or is it a fact that just like us, you have been stunned by the mysteriously sweet words of our Lord Shyamasundar? Is it a fact that it is because of this severe anxiety that you are so grave? You have become stunned and you have become thin day by day. You become weak. Oh, breeze from the Himalayas, what have we done to you that you are so intent on teasing us by awakening our lust to meet Krishna? Do you not know that we have already been injured by the crooked policy of the personality of Godhead, dear Himalayan breeze, please know that we have already been stricken. There is no need to injure us more and more. So the nice breeze is blowing, it's creating a nice atmosphere. So that is invoking more lust in their hearts for Krishna, right? So they're saying you're injuring us more, and already we have lust, and creating this nice atmosphere, you're increasing, you're injuring us more and more. Dear beautiful cloud, the color of your beautiful body exactly resembles the bodily hue of our dearmost Shamsundar. We think, therefore, that you are very dear to our Lord, the chief of the dynasty of the Yadus, and because you are so dear to him, you are absorbed in meditation exactly as we are. We can appreciate that your heart is full of anxiety for Shamsundar. You appear excessively eager to see him, and we see for this reason only drops of tears are gliding down from your eyes, just as they are from ours. Dear Black Cloud, we must admit frankly that to establish an intimate relationship with the Samsundar means to purchase unnecessary anxieties while we are otherwise comfortable at home. So they're saying, oh, this cloud, the black cloud, has the same hue as Shamsundar, but it is in anxiety. That's why it's crying. So the rain falling from the cloud is the drops of tears that are falling from clouds. The same as the gopis are also crying. They say that we have given our heart to Shamasundar, and unnecessarily we have increased our anxiety. Right? Although we were comfortable at home, but now giving our hearts to Krishna, we have become more full of anxiety, and we cry because Krishna also leaves the queens, right? And he stays with the Pandavas for a long time. Now he goes here and there, so he also gives them the mode of separation.
It sounds
Yeah,
like
that's
the gopis only what they are saying. The queens are
correct.
like.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, Rupa Goswami is writing that all these gopis, they became 16,000 queens of Krishna. Like the Chandravali became Rukmini, and Radharani became Satyabhama, and I think Vishakha became Kalindi, and Lalita became Jambavati or something. Yeah. So generally, the cuckoo sounds its cooing vibration at the end of night or early in the morning. When the queens heard the cooing of the cuckoo at the end of the night, they said, "Dear cuckoo, your voice is very sweet. As soon as you vibrate your sweet voice, we immediately remember Shamsundar because your voice exactly resembles his. We must frankly admit that your voice is imbued with nectar, and it is so invigorating that it is competent to bring back life to those who are almost dead in separation from their dearmost friend. So we are very much obliged to you. Please let us know how we can welcome you or how we can do something for you." So the voice of the cuckoo is reminding them of Krishna's voice. So they are feeling very grateful. Although I would have thought that when the cuckoos coo, it's like the end of the night, time to wake up, and they don't like Krishna to wake up, right, or be separated from Krishna on the bed. So they would hate the cuckoos cooing in the morning,
Yeah, that
signifying
said about the
more.
hens. The hens when they right in the another.
Uh,
It is time
um,
to cocks and they are just.
cocks. Correct. Yes. The queens continued talking like that, and they addressed the mountain as follows: "Dear mountain, you're very generous. By your gravity only, the whole crust of this earth is properly maintained. Although, because you are discharging your duties very faithfully, you do not know how to move. Because you are so grave, you do not move hither and thither, nor do you say anything. Rather, you always appear in a thoughtful mood. It may be that you are always thinking of a very grave and important subject matter, but we can guess very clearly what you are thinking. We are sure that you are thinking of placing the lotus feet of Shamsundar on your raised peaks, as we want to place his lotus feet on our raised breasts." So they're comparing their desires to that of mountain, same desires to place Krishna's lotus feet on them. So should we stop here?
Yeah, we can stop here. So, right.
This is very nice. I've not read this before. This last chapter of 10th canto.
Okay, so we will continue tomorrow.